presentation that's going to run about what a patient will see as this slide is going. So I'll just talk about some high level overviews here. So this app is completely free. We are not utilizing patient data. I want that very clear, but patients do need to register because they can use this across multiple devices. If they're going to share it with a provider, let's say that they call you with a concern and you're like, hey, can you email me your algorithm? They need to be able to they have to be registered and able to utilize that function. There's that notes thing that I was talking about earlier. So this app is going to track not only those movements, but the strength of the movements. That is another thing where maybe our providers have experienced that, where somebody says, normally I've got the karate kicks going on, and today it is a flutter. That is different than what I normally see. Oftentimes, those are the cord babies. Like when we hear stories later, those are babies that have cord issues, is that we change from really strong movements to the flutter movements. So, just keeping that in mind, this app is also available in over 24 languages. So if you have somebody who they are not fluent in English, and they have written fluency in another language, this may be a good opportunity to get somebody that education. There's a lot of free resources built into this app. One of the things that's newer, and I'm just going to kind of skip ahead a little bit here, is our Ask Anna AI. I'd like to just make sure everybody knows what this is. This is not medical advice. This is responding to questions that patients might have, like, why don't I count hiccups? Or what is the best time of the day for me to count? Like things like that can be answered by this AI technology. We've recently added a voice technology, voice recognition for other languages as well. And by the way, it's not pulling from Dr. Google or Nurse TikTok. This is pulling from a bank of evidence, peer-reviewed papers to get that information. So that is a new feature of our app that people can play around with and just see how does that work when patients are asking questions. Again, people can utilize different devices. You can count on your watch. You can count on, we often get people that are using library computers. They don't have the resources themselves in their home to use, but they go and they use a library computer. Again, if they are not registered, they can't access their data and have that complete step. So we want to make sure that people are registered and we are not selling or sharing that data in any way. Find Help is a resource that's zip code driven. So if people are looking for free and reduced cost resources that are aligned to those social drivers of health, that is something people can access through our app. So here are a couple questions that we talk about: misconceptions, things that people often will say or hear. One I've already addressed is the baby should get 10 kicks in 2 hours. We've already talked about that current research indicates that parents need to work to understand that normal amount of time for that baby, and this should be done for each pregnancy. So again, moving away. I know that's hard for some people, but moving away from 10 kicks in 2 hours to what is normal for my baby and working to understand what that is. A second misconception that we get is if baby isn't moving, drink something cold or eat something sugary to get baby moving. Now, let me just be clear. If they come to triage and this is what you want them to do as a provider, that is what you get to choose because you're the provider providing that medical care. This is more for when I'm out in the community and the grandmas and the aunties and people are just coming up to you on the street giving you advice. This is more for that community lens that we don't want baby to have a false representation. When we talk about that data, we don't want to introduce variables to that data. We want to see baby unmasked by things like sugar and caffeine. But believe me, like if you give me a Dr. Pepper, like I said earlier, that's my drink of choice. I'm going to be very different when I've had my daily dose of that. So that is just going to cause masking. So we really want to make sure people are not doing that. But again, if your triage protocol is we're going to give mom a Sprite while she's on the NST, well, that's your choice as a provider, right? Like I'm not going to get in there with that. The third myth that we often hear, and we have heard this from, we've seen this in some of the data that we've pulled from South Carolina, is using Doppler devices. It is not a recommendation that somebody orders a Doppler off Amazon and they're monitoring their baby's well-being by themselves, right? We've talked about NSTs here. An NST and a Doppler, very different things. But in the layperson's mind, a Doppler is the same thing as when I go to OB triage, and it is not, in fact, right? It is not the same thing. So we do not encourage the use of a home Doppler unless that patient has been highly trained and is using in accordance with their provider's guidance. We don't want them picking up their own heart rate and thinking that that's something that they should be paying attention to. I'm just going to keep my eye on the time here. I want to show you this is an example of our health literacy focused material. We have a traditional brochure and then we have our picture based material. So you can pick whatever you want. Again, it's free to you, completely free. No, shipping is free to you as well. Just making sure you understand that difference. And then this is our fetal movement monitoring band. This is like an Apple Watch. That band is numbered 1 through 10. I know Elizabeth has these a lot of times at baby showers. And then that black, the slider, when somebody knows if I have to count at 12:05 every day, they don't need their app, they don't need anything else. Maybe they're teaching in a classroom. What they can do is count using that. So I felt my one movement, I'm going to move that to the number one, then to the number two, etc. The only thing they have to remember is what time did they stop, and then how are they recording it? Is it on a paper kick counting chart, which these are also available for free on our website in multiple languages, or they can go put it in the app later. That's no problem to enter that data later. And then the last thing I'll share with you is just this is again that how to kick digital resource that can be embedded in EHR. For those of you who are doulas or working with moms in community capacities, 100%. You can utilize that QR code. People can go and take a look at what language they are fluent in to receive this instruction. Very easy to share. We are trying our best to make sure that these resources are accessible for everyone. So I know that I am at my time. I will stop sharing and let